were folded twice and tucked deep into the back pocket of a dead man's pants. 2 stained sheets of lined paper. Ricky McCormick wasn't known to many in life, but what he left behind has gripped code breakers, the FBI, and anyone who still believes some mysteries don't fade. McCormick was 41 years old when his body was found June 30th, 1999, in a cornfield off Route 367, St. Charles County, Missouri, just over 20 miles or 32 kilometers northwest of St. Louis. No wallet, no injuries the public ever learned about, just heat, decay, and a man laying in a field. His family hadn't reported him missing, and law enforcement wasn't actively looking for him. But tucked into his pocket were 2 handwritten notes, each filled with capital letters, scattered parentheses, and lines that looked like word salad, unless they were something else. The pages held over 30 lines of strange markings. To some, they seemed like nothing. To the FBI's cryptanalysts and racketeering records unit, they looked like a cipher. The Bureau logged the notes but kept them hidden until 2011, when the case went cold enough to warn the public. They issued a call for help. The FBI's rare statement, quote, "We are really good at what we do, but we could use some help with this one," end quote. And that's when the wider world took notice. The notes, they were posted online, and forums exploded. Cryptographers, amateur code breakers, and retired intelligence officers began poring over what quickly became known as the McCormick Notes. The structure was eerily consistent, repeating clusters like WLD, NCBE, and SPRSE. They appeared more than once. Formatting aligned with cipher symmetry, but it wasn't any known code. Not Caesar, not number substitution, not anything simple. Experts from the American Cryptogram Association and other groups confirmed that this wasn't random scrawl. There was a method here, there was structure, and yet no one could find the key. Ricky McCormick had dropped out of high school. He was known to speak in made-up phrases and had a documented history of mental illness, including schizophrenia. And he received Social Security disability benefits and never held a job very long. His family said that he could barely write a coherent sentence, and still, he may have created a cipher that no one can solve. There are 2 schools of thought. One says that the note is gibberish, random letters formed during delusion, and the other says that they were a private code. One possibly related to drug movement or some kind of street-level communication. At the time of his death, Ricky had occasional ties to a gas station whose owners would later face federal charges. And that was for illegal sales and trafficking. So, was Ricky a courier, a message mule, a loose end? Law enforcement never confirmed a link. There were no charges, no suspects, no official cause of death. But even if the notes have no meaning, the pattern itself demands attention. You see, over 2 decades later, the McCormick Notes remain one of the only 2 unsolved ciphers in FBI history. The other, known as the Zodiac's 340-character cipher, was cracked in 2020 using layered transposition logic and language pattern modeling. It literally took over 50 years. Now, Ricky's cipher, it's outlasted that. We live in a world where encrypted messaging is routine, where code breakings become digitized, accelerated, and largely solved by software. And yet a man who died with no money in his pocket and no known formal education may have left behind something that defeats all modern tools. Or maybe he didn't. Maybe it's not a code. Maybe it's a desperate ramble in a private shorthand. Maybe it's noise. The mind keeps turning. But if there's even a 1% chance that it means something, someone out there wants to know what. You see, there's something deeply human about that urge. The urge to understand what was meant, to finish the sentence of someone who could not. Whether it's nonsense or genius, what Ricky McCormick left behind is a reminder of how many people die without clarity. That even in the age of digital certainty, there are still mysteries we can hold in our hands and still not read. Some men leave behind monuments. Some leave behind families. Ricky McCormick left 2 pages that nobody could translate. That's not just a puzzle. It's a story about how easy it is to vanish. Even in a country built on record keeping and law enforcement and reason. And the strange thing is, those notes, they've now lasted longer than Ricky did. These are Interesting Things with JC.